And then the tournament happens and he turns into this, awesome guy. I'm like, the first thing I thought was, are we gonna need another voice? And we didn't. We ended up, John was able to pull that off. But I was just like, wow, how wild is this? And there's got to be a story there. So it was kind of cool that you had to wait, like, I don't know, what, 50, 60 episodes to get to the end and find out the history between himself and Yomi. I know, right? I think the show's been out long enough that we can't spoil it now. But yeah, it was a great moment. I was filled with curiosity. Yes, ma'am. I do. I have lots of tips for aspiring voice actors. First, don't pigeonhole yourself. Voice acting is acting. Voice acting is just one part of voice acting. And so for me, what I did was, when I was a young boy, I started to audition at children's theaters. I grew up in a little town called Fort Smith, Arkansas, right? So I was in Arkansas, right? So that lesson just right there is it doesn't matter where you're from, you can do this if you want to. Two guys from Fort Smith did this, right? So I just auditioned. I auditioned for the children's theater, and there's a little play that I think about every children's theater in the world does called The Best School Christmas Pageant Ever. And I've been in that, and I've played Charlie, and I've played Leroy, and I've played a few of the older, whatever, the Bad Brothers, the Bad Family, I forget the name. So I played several parts in that. And that's where I got kind of used to getting lines and having to memorize them and working with someone who's telling you what to do, and you got to remember where to be and where to turn and all these different things. And getting to kind of to use these acting muscles, because that's the trick of acting. And it turns out that all of those tools that I utilize as an actor, even though you don't get to see my face when I'm in the booth, I'm acting. I'm watching what Kirishima's doing on screen there, and my face is doing the same thing. I don't file my teeth, but I'm doing the same thing. I'm watching what he's doing. That's why I was telling, like, during that Toguro fight during Yu Yu Hakusho, we'd finish a take, and I was sweating. I was pouring sweat, and I was in a fight of my life, and so that's what I wanted to present. So everything from how much excitement's going through. The being out of breath. That's you can perhaps try to fake that, but for me, I'm running out of breath right now. But this is how I kind of get to that level of excitement, and that is what carries through. Because as a voice actor, you're ultimately getting about 80% of all of your acting tools removed from you. So those that you get to keep, you've got to have them really strong, really tested, and practiced. So act as much as you can. I've done everything from community theater, children's theater. I was in the high school drama department. When I went to college, I was on the radio station. I worked at a radio station after college a little bit. So yeah, everything was using this. Everything was using this. It was just everything. So it was acting. Anytime you can get on stage in front of people, the more comfortable you'll get, and the more at ease you'll feel, and that is what ultimately helps you to entertain everybody else. Nobody wants to watch somebody going. So that's what I did, and that loosened me up. And that got me to where, like being up here and talking with all you guys. Like, this is fun. I love this. I love the excitement coming from you, and I want to feed it back as much as I can. Yes, ma'am.
So I believe you said you do play Leon in Danganronpa.
That is true.
This might be a weird question, but what's your favorite punishment?
I'm sorry, who?
What's your favorite punishment they did?
Oh, well, I do like how all the punishments matched up to kind of to the characters. Like Leon had a lot of baseballs coming out of you, so I kind of liked how that connection was made. But that was a cringy show. I'm not a big death guy. I get I get to autograph from time to time the Death Note books of extreme old age. We're gonna see if that works. in the tie, yes.
What is your opinion on Kirishima's work?
What's my what?
What's your opinion on Kirishima's work?
I think it's cool. It could use a better name.
Yeah.
Put that out there. But hardening's fine. If you've seen it in action, you're like, oh.
Yeah.
Up until then, you're going, is he gonna? Like,
So what's happening?
Like, I feel like him and Midnight would be a good team.
Yeah. Oh!
Too bad. That was awful. So no, but I think it's great, and I think because of the tattoo fight, it kind of we got to see both strengths and weaknesses of what that form can do.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's like again, could use a new name. But Red Riot's good. That's fine.
Yeah.
As long as you don't have to say what it's.
Season 4 is going to prove that.
Yes. Ma'am.
How did you think, like, to bring Aaron into the booth?
Yes, into his personal.
Yeah, he is. So he's a ham. 9 years old. Here's a kid who would. He was writing a book. That's what made me think of it. I think that was actually when he was in kindergarten or something. And it was just what you'd expect from a kindergartner, I mean, from an artistic point of view.
Yeah.
But what was brilliant about it is that as he was explaining it to me, there was very clearly like a story, there was a story method that was being followed. And he might not have had the greatest story there, but it really impressed me that he was tagging like what he felt were very important. But there was a very clear beginning. There was a setup. The setup was concluded and touched on in the end. I mean, he literally was hitting story beats like a scriptwriter would at kindergarten. So just the way that his brain works, when he would read something out of a book, it wasn't like it was in a character's voice, but you could tell he had an empathetic ability to kind of like capture the emotion of the written word in his voice. So basically, he was acting without even knowing that he was acting. I asked his dad, who's my cousin, if he wouldn't mind if Aaron would come up and do his fruits basket on Hero. And so Aaron would come into the booth. It was just the one episode, right? And I think maybe there's like 2 or 3 lines that bookended and a couple of different other episodes, but mainly it was the one episode. And he came in and recorded. I think it took us about 8 hours to get that done. It was on two days. But we would do that for a while and then like order a pizza and then go outside, run around, and then get back in the booth and do some more. But again, it was brilliant. Here's a great Aaron story. It's one of my favorites though. It's him going in to record the video game. I guess there was a video game for Full Metal Alchemist,
Yes.
the first one. And he had to redo the scene where he gets turned into Alphonse, right? And so, and you know that scene is just Aaron screaming. That's what that is. So his dad takes him to the session, and Aaron's in the booth, and Aaron's already acted the whole show just about at the time that he's doing this. And Sabbath was the director, and he's like, okay, let's take a stab at this. And so here goes Aaron, blood curdling scream. His father had to leave the room. And by the way, his dad is probably one of the toughest guys I've ever met. And he was like, yeah, I can't listen to that anymore. But it really does speak to Aaron's talent because he can just bring so much honesty and truth to a role. And so whether he's in extreme pain or it's sad, it's so easy to kind of fall into his ship, as it were, his boat, because he'll just take you on a ride. So yeah, Aaron's brilliant, and that's probably the best casting thing I've ever done. I can't take any credit for it. It's all Aaron.
And how sure you're proud of him now that he's like doing script writing as well?
Yeah, for Attack on Titan.
I know. Yeah, he's doing well. Aaron's one of our full-time writers at Funimation. He works up there all the time, and he's one of our top writers. I mean, we're so lucky and blessed to have so many great writers. But we love that we've got Aaron there with us. Matter of fact, Aaron shares an office with Tyler Walker, the guy who voice directed all of most of Fairy Tail. I should say the first 375 episodes of Fairy Tail. And so the both of them are in there just writing all day long. It's crazy. Yeah. So he writes 2 new scripts every week. Yeah, he's kind of amazing. Actually, all the writers are, but Aaron is great. Yes, sir.
Okay, so I've pretty much enjoyed all your voice acting, but going to like the producer and director roles, do you get more of an appreciation for working on the animes by working behind the scenes as opposed to acting?
Well, there's 2 things as a producer. First off, as a producer, the job of a producer is clearing the way for creativity. That's the job. There's there's things I like to call thumbprint producing. Those are producers you like to watch and you go, do this, make this, have this guy do this voice. And I don't thumbprint produce. There's voice directors, they're the creative ones, they're the ones who get to own the show. They're responsible for that, that's their business. So my job, again, is clearing the road. So any silliness, any weirdness, any marketing, have them do this. Yeah, we'll take care of it. I pacify that. That as a producer, that's ultimately the job. Clear everything out, make it as easy for the voice director and the actors to do their job, the mixers and everybody else. So that's producing. Managing, I got one-liners for everything. But for managing people, the job there is I call it fostering others' successes. And so the appreciation that I've picked up is learning, when you're an actor, everything is about me. Just to be clear, if you're an actor, it's still about me. I don't care. It's all about the actor. That's how an actor works. And a producer, it's all about everybody else. So the appreciation that I've picked up, kind of moving from one to the other position many years ago, I was astounded at the team that works at Funimation. They blow me away. So the thing that I've gained appreciation for is the amount of effort that all of the voice directors put in on the shows, or that all of the actors bring to their characters. I mean, there's 2 other actors that are here this weekend that are absolutely gemstones to work with. I mean, they're just awesome. The kind of energy that Jason brings into any room that he's in is kind of like, it wows me. You know what I mean? It's amazing. So, but that's, learning just how talented these people are. Oftentimes when you're in the middle of it, you don't stop to consider how incredible everybody around you is. But when you get to step away for a second and watch their work come, it's like, whoa. So somebody asked me earlier about watching an anime and going, oh my gosh, I could do so much better than that. Here's the way it really works. It's you watching your own stuff later and going, oh, why did I make that decision? That's the reality. Yes, ma'am.
Is there a certain time period that you have to take after you get a role that you have to really come in contact with the character and find out exactly what you want the voice to be, or do you just kind of like jump in head first?
Yeah, generally we're jumping in head first because it's simul-dubs. You know, we're jumping in and working on these shows right as soon as they're being aired in Japan. So there's not a lot of time to really kind of sit and soak into the character and all that. So ultimately we have to bring actors in that are quick studies. You know, they can immediately kind of find the things that are important in a scene, and then they can bring those elements out. It would be wonderful to wait and like get the artist for My Hero to come over and tell us the whole story and everything he's going to do. And unfortunately, 5-minute warning. There it is. Unfortunately, we don't get that heads up. But that means we have to be more nimble, and we just have to, you know, and we can't make stuff up, you know, because if you add something that's not actually there, it's going to conflict it later down the road. So no, we just kind of own where we are in the series and treat that as kind of, you know, the gem that we're working on at that time. In the back, blue hair. Yes.
I feel like Leon died too fast so that he could live better.
As the voice actor for him, yes. You say. Ooh. Yeah, he's a great villain. Oh, you know what? I like Sensui a lot better than Rob McCollum and I had so much fun with that character because it's 7 characters in one. And we literally came up with a personality for each one of those characters and really defined it. Matter of fact, watching the movie Split, like, I don't know, a little bit ago, I was like, this is totally the live action version of Sensui. Like, that's incredible. And James McAvoy's performance, I mean, was stunning in that movie. And in Glass.
Yeah.
It was really kind of fun. I don't know why Glass is rated so poorly by the reviewers. I loved it. Yes, sir. John.
Are there any animes that have like yet to be dubbed that you want to work on in the future?
That haven't been dubbed that I would like to work on. So much is getting dubbed so fast now. It's hard to say. No, I get to fall in love with 18 new shows like every 3 months, and so I tend to only have love for those shows. So I don't get to watch a lot of the other ones, but I do love the opportunity of getting to see other people's work. For instance, Hunter x Hunter, I think, is a great dub. I love what Viz has done with that.
I see the tattoo on your wrist there. What's it say?
Yeah, I do. There's one right here. It says, I'm 18, and I can get a tattoo now. It means teacher. And it's off-centered because no teacher can ever be perfect. And it's good to know that. Let's see, I want to make sure the last questions are all answered. Go ahead.
How did you get started on here?
Well, it was through all my acting work, and then, but getting started on anime is all because of a drummer. A drummer. I moved to Texas with Jerry to be in Wes's band. He called me and wanted a piano player in his band, and I said, hey, that's great. You need a guitar player? Because I have a guitar player, and I can't leave my guitar player in Nashville. So he says, we don't need a guitar player, but we could use a bass player. And I said, hey, are you a bass player? And he says, yes. We'll be there. And so that's why I got to Texas in the first place, was to be in a band. And then we had a drummer. And the drummer turned out to be the mix engineer at Funimation. And he said, hey, why are you doing whatever it was I was doing at the time? Why don't you come be an engineer at Funimation? And so I went and applied, and I got a job. And I was the either 12th or 13th. We trade off every year. But there were 2 guys hired, and so we're number 12 and number 13 as far as the number of employees. So, yeah.
So you started voice acting when you were 12 or 14?
No. I was the 12th or 13th employee hired at Funimation. No, I was 24-ish, I think. Yeah. Yes, sir.
You said you were watching Chernobyl.
Yeah, I am. I'm only in the middle of episode 3, so halfway finished.
Is there any TV series or movies this year that you've been watching, like a recommendation?
Oh, new ones?
Yeah.
Oh, that's tough. I'm a big fan of movies and TV, as I've already indicated. I like to watch a lot of old stuff. I digitized my entire DVD collection, and I have it on a 10 terabyte hard drive that I programmed to run 24 hours a day. So nobody's not going to know who these folks are. Some of you will, but there's an old Johnny Carson, used to be the Tonight Show guy, and I get to watch him every night. He's from 11 to midnight. But so all my favorite shows, I like some older shows. But Chernobyl's a great one that I'm watching. It's a new one right now. And I am hanging with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., hoping it gets better. But I've been hoping that for like 6 seasons now.
You're a better man than I.
I know, right? So anyway, I'm still watching that one. So Mad Men was the last show, and it's old, but I love that series. Such a great show. Yes, ma'am. Last question.
Okay. What is something you look for as a casting director whenever you're casting?
Honesty and sincerity. That's what I want to hear out of somebody's voice. I want to feel that I'm hearing a real thing. I don't want to hear a strained voice. I'm not into hearing a wacky character voice, that kind of stuff. I'm looking for the honesty and believability of whatever the person is saying. So if that feels real to me, we can take care of augmenting the voice to get it into the character's skin. But I can't direct someone to be more real. That doesn't work. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for somebody who can kind of reach out there and take that line and make it instead of a line, make it something someone said.
Like a moment.
Yeah. And that's what audition sides are. They're basically like 5 to 6 unattached lines. It's not one full scene. The idea there is to hear you on a range of emotions. That's the idea. That's what they're looking for.
Oh, Mr. Cook, I have a final question. What social media outlets can I follow you on? And do you have any upcoming projects you'd love to share with us?
Oh, upcoming projects. Well, we've got a brand new season starting up literally in 2 weeks. And there's 18 brand new shows. Well, not brand new, some are continuing. But there are great properties coming up in that. And so that's really what's coming up. In regards to social media, has anybody ever looked for me there? You won't find me. I'm so sorry. That's fine. I'm invisible on the interwebs. But you can find me at Funimation. That's where I'm at. So anytime you want to reach out and get a hold of Justin Cook, just email Funimation. That's where I work. I'm there every day. So they've got, I think they've got social feeds and social networks. Anything you want me to find out, they'll let me know. Guys, thank you so much. I'll see you.